Am I going through a card slump? Do people have those? Hello, this is Vintage Card Voyage. I'm Ken.
This is Marc.
And we're here to talk about a topic that we think maybe people go through. And it's quite simply, I'm going through what I would think or consider a card slump, a collecting slump.
And I have been there myself in the past.
Yeah. And when I think back in my past, not quite the same, but I went through a slump in the early 2000s because it seemed like the industry was kind of dying.
Yeah.
There were fewer shows, if at all. I know a lot of card shops went out of business. And I just started losing interest. I had my kids and I had my job, and there was a lot of things that were taking priority.
And not much time to devote to collecting.
No. And this is a hobby that I usually gladly put time toward. So, but lately I've been feeling a little uninspired. It's been a 50-year journey as a collector.
Right.
And I find myself not going to the card store as much. I had been going to shows almost every weekend, but I kind of stopped that. And so I'm just wondering if there's other people out there that are feeling this way. I think in some ways it's natural. It's like I've collected a lot of the cards I wanted to collect. I've gone to the shows I wanted to go to, like the National and Burbank show. I haven't been to the Dallas show. Maybe that's one I will go to.
Right.
But in general, I've just been feeling like, not that this is the end, but that I'm uninspired.
Right. And then Strongsville also, which you have to show, you have to go to that.
Yeah.
I understand that and go through the same thing. It's like, you sometimes, I was telling you off camera, it's like, I'll look on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, like looking through things. I'm like, why am I doing this? What am I looking for exactly? Like, are we trying to like fill a hole of some sort in our collecting journey or whatever? And it's kind of funny. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And just like you, I'll be in my garage where my collection exists, and I'll be like, this is pretty crampy. It's getting crampy in here. I think there's been several reasons for me being a little uninspired. One is maybe a lack of space in my physical garage.
Right.
The list of Grail cards is getting very small, and all that's left are 4-digit cards, in the thousands. And, because of the boom, one in particular, the star card Michael Jordan 101 is an extra zero on top of it, at least $10,000.
5 figures.
Yeah. So then that seems almost ridiculous as I get ready to pay for college for my kids.
Yeah. There's the realities that we have to face as parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe this is natural because I'm not really a new card collector. I will collect athletes that I like, but that's one-off.
Right.
So in the universe of cards I wanted to collect, I've collected a lot of them. So maybe this is natural. Do you think others come to this point?
I get the feeling, I definitely have been wondering myself. Like, I feel like because I had this long space in between collecting, and I came back into it, I feel like I'm still in a way like thinking about myself like when I was a kid. And so I have this like element of scarcity. Like I feel like I need to collect things because I didn't have that much when I was a kid.
Right.
But then the economic reality kind of faces you of like, oh, I can only collect so much or in a certain condition or whatever. And so because the hobby right now is, a lot of it is so condition sensitive as far as like values go, then it's like, oh, do I want to collect something that's lower value or whatever? And so it's,
Yeah. And I in terms of what I've been doing, it's clear that I've lost a little bit of steam because I've been collecting. I have a new project, which is 70 years of Sports Illustrated covers. I've been collecting Japanese movie tickets. So other things are catching my eye. I'll go to a show and then I'm more interested in the things that are not cards now.
Right.
So it's very clear that I'm deviating from what's normal for me. So what's next? I mean, you have any advice for what to do in these times?
I mean, I think you just kind of have to follow the path that is kind of you're being led on. It almost feels like you know that you're more interested right now in that the 70 years of SI and the Japanese movie tickets and whatever. It's like nothing wrong with continuing to go that way. I
Just
mean,
the different kinds of collections. I
yeah,
guess.
I mean, you obviously still have a bunch of vintage cards or what have you, and or newer cards, whatever. But and they're not gonna. That was the thing too. Is when I was a kid, I felt like they were gonna go away. Somehow.
Yeah.
Like I'll never have access to them ever or something. If I sell something, it's like that's clearly not the case.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna
There
happen.
very clearly are so many opportunities to buy things, and so
Yeah.
Yeah, and knowing that is a good thing, so you don't have to worry about I'm going to miss opportunities, or whatever. They'll always be there. So.
Yeah, I mean, even the numbered cards nowadays, even if it was numbered to 15 or something, it circulates.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
So I feel like the feeling of scarcity is not real.
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of when we were growing up, it's like you were thinking people older than us, my mom threw those out or my parents threw them out or whatever. That's not happening these days anymore. I don't think. Who knows? But
Yeah, I think we've gotten to the point where the industry is so established that people are not going to throw away cards, even though the vast majority are not worth anything.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Well, I did want to show some things.
Yeah, no, you said that you had some new paths you were maybe pursuing.
So these are these collections that maybe I'll take on. This is the 1964 National League home run leaders, and I'm thinking about collecting the leader cards where all the players are Hall of Famers.
Nice, yeah.
And this is one of my favorites. This is 65 batting leaders. National League has Clemente, Aaron, and Mays. So that's they're all tier 1 players.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I have a 67 tops NL pitching leaders: Koufax, Marichal, Gibson, and Perry. So I love these leader cards. Also because they're a little more affordable.
Yeah.
Right. So I did make a list of all the leader cards where they have only Hall of Fame players. So that could be something I do.
Yeah.
I know some people do the upgrading, and so I have the 53 Bowman color set, but I don't have them slabbed. So I could start into that. The thought is daunting to me to just, so I might just collect the Hall of Famers, but then that would mean either getting them slapped, which can be expensive, or finding new ones.
Or waiting for PSA to have a sale or
that's
SGC
true.
or whatever. Yeah.
That's true. And then I did go to my local store and I found these cards. They're from 1950. They're Callahan cards. If anybody out there collects these, I'd love to learn more about them. I think it's a set of 81 or 83 Hall of Fame players. Obviously all pre-1950.
Right.
So that'll be a good trip down history lane.
Yeah.
So those are all things that maybe I'll collect, but again, I'm kind of in a slump. Yeah.
And slumps last sometimes very short time, so.
Yeah. So hopefully it lasts a short time this time.
Yeah. I guess that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. So if you're out there and you're going through a slump or have gone through a slump, I'd love some advice or guidance. But for now, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.